I will call the meeting at 12:30. I will stipulate that we have a quorum with Alder Bartz, Commissioner Thompson, and myself. I understand that Mr. Wetzel is running a little bit late, but we'll get started. First item of business today is comments and suggestions from citizens present. Anybody have something they'd like to talk about that's not on our agenda this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll go on. Review and approve minutes of the Public Works minutes from December 10th of 2024.
Motion to approve.
Support. Just so you all know, there is one error in that, as I mentioned, Mr. Hayden twice. Oh, he shouldn't be on there. All right, motion with support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, our business, item A, review and take possible, before we do that, commissioners have any objection to moving item D after item G?
No.
Okay, is everybody, all right, good. All right, item A, review and take possible action, award solar panel project for WWTP to Eagle Point Solar for $886,050.
Hey, thank you. As this commission is aware, we had advertised for this project. The wastewater department publicly opened up bids on Friday, December 20th at 11 a.m. at the wastewater treatment plant in the conference room. 6 bids were received. A bid summary and bid tabulation were included with my memo from the Hunt for review. Wastewater department is recommending awarding the bid to Eagle Point Solar for $886,50. Touching on the summary points of the bid, we did receive a total of 6, and the bid summary was included. Ranging from a low bid from Next Energy, DBA Full Spectrum at $750,000, with a high bid of Arch Solar at $1,032,000. The bids selection was based on the most output for a dollar. Not all the bids were providing equal amounts of electricity, energy generation. For instance, the low bid Next Energy was based on providing 391.6 kilowatts of DC power from the solar panels, estimated at 506.4 megawatts per year. This was the lowest annual output from the 6 bidders and the second lowest power from the panels. The highest power output is from Eagle Point Solar at 495 kilowatt of DC power, producing 617.7 megawatt hours annually. So we had a formula in there to doing our comparison to give us the dollar amount, and what we had is Eagle Point Solar came in providing the most at a ratio of 1.4 megawatt hours for every $1,000 of investment. The bid from Faith Technologies came in at second, the ratio of 1.02, and Next Energy United were tied for third at the ratio of 1.0. So I am making a recommendation based on Mead Hunt's summary of awarding this to Eagle Point Solar. And based on the investment tax credit of 30% focus on energy solar panel incentive of $50 per kilowatt, the final total of the city would be $595,485. And then applying the Department of Energy grant that we received for $300,000 makes the final payment the city would be paying of $297,742, which does come in under budget. So I am looking for a recommendation to award the solar panel project to Eagle Point Solar for $886,50.
And how much of the $886,50 is from the city budget?
After the incentives, we will be paying $297,742.50. After we apply the grant, and the tax credit and the focus on energy incentive.
Gentlemen,
I'll make a motion for the award the solar panel project at the treatment plant for to Eagle Point Solar, $886 and $50.
there's support,
I'll second it. But I do have a couple questions.
please.
So I read through the material, Pete, and
Yep.
it's pretty descriptive. But you see, there's like 864 panels included.
Yep.
And what is the expected life of these panels?
Be in their bid package.
I didn't see that anywhere there. What's it gonna say?
Let's say it off the top of my head without reading it from here. There's panels in the inverters. I mean, the panels were. There's a 5-year workmanship warranty on the install. Reading through here.
We've seen a couple of places where they had an option for 10 years, 5-year standard, option for 10 years. That was my other question. Are we going to
No.
pursue that other option?
25-year product warranty, 25-year linear power output warranty, 85% for the modules. Inverters. Warranty is 5-year limited with a 10-year extension available.
Right.
Mounting system, 10-year limited. Monitoring system, 10-year. Included.
10-year monitoring included.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did we lose?
So do we, are we planning on doing the option, taking them up on that option for the 10-year warranty, or are you just gonna go with the 5-year standard?
We're going to find your standard, but we can revisit that 10-year extension. I didn't see that mentioned as part of our.
And then I guess my follow-up question on that, since you said the panels are 25 years, can we extend it beyond the 10 years, or is that just the end of the warranty options we have available to us?
It's saying 20-year product warranty. Was there a rep here from Eagle Point Solar? Someone had mentioned they might be here.
Yes, this is Ken Kraus with Eagle Point Solar.
Ken, thank you. Are you able to further answer Mr. Bartz's questions regarding the warranty?
Yes, so the modules, as you had mentioned, have a 25-year production warranty. That's as far out as that warranty will go. The inverter is a 5-year standard with a 10-year extension. On the particular inverter that we're using there, because we needed to follow the Buy American requirements, that's the extent of the warranty extension that's available to us. Other manufacturers have warranties that go out 20-25 years, but they are not Buy American compliant. So that is the extent of the warranty extension that's available to us through that manufacturer.
So does that mean we have a 15-year warranty on the inverter? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so you would have the 5-year standard with a 10-year extension on that.
But that 10-year extension is part of the price.
No, that's an option. So the price that we bid on was for the warranty that comes standard with that. If you were interested in extending that out, we can certainly provide a price for that.
Yes, could you please provide a price?
Absolutely. Would you like me to just email that to you then?
Yes, that would work fine.
Okay. Yep, I can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Go back to the site. So where's this in relation to your plant? It's,
This is the office right here.
just tell me which way's north. Okay. And how large of a space are they covering?
It's about 2.9 acres.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion with support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Item B, review and take action, approve 2024 utility bill write-off of account refunds and credits.
Okay, as we do every year for our audit, we are presenting this for information on accounting and bookkeeping records. These are the unpaid balances comprised or refunded or credited charges for water, sewer, garbage, and stormwater, which are written off from the utility bills, credited back to the owners. 2024 total was 72,370.22 cents, which was comprised of 411 separate accounts.
Say that number again, please.
The total for 2024 was 72,370.22. Comprised of 411 separate accounts. I did provide the summary along with my memo showing the breakdown. I also brought all the individual ones if anyone cares to further.
Gentlemen? Annual thing.
I'm looking for approval.
Motion to approve the 2024 utility bill write-off accounts identified.
Can you say that refunds and credits totaling $72,370?
That's exactly what.
Thanks. Second. I just want to put a number in here. Thank you, Mr. Wetzel. No questions?
Yeah, I would have.
Go ahead.
Are those individual 411 counts or are those running that some have it for March, April, age,
It's
same account delinquent?
some of them might be, well, it could be one owner of two meters, if you will, or two properties. There are 411 individual accounts. We do a monthly total. So there were 19 residential on, for instance, last January. Some of those will show up, with similar names. You know, property owner.
My
have
question
Commercial place.
was one account holder delinquent for multiple months?
I don't track it like that. But I can look through,
I mean,
if you're looking for a particular one.
no, I'm not. I just like. 50
Able Light is one that shows up almost every month. They have multiple properties.
So it's possibly not 411 unique accounts or?
No, they're unique accounts.
So why are they not paying?
I'm sorry.
Why are they delinquent? If it's consistent.
Some of these would be credits based on a sewer credit issued or a incorrect read that goes back or overpayment of an account.
So they're not necessarily delinquent accounts.
Not necessarily all delinquent. Delinquent accounts go onto the tax roll at the end of the year.
So we didn't forgive any delinquent accounts.
Not in this summary.
Okay.
Okay.
That help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gentlemen, we have a motion with support. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, item C, review and take action, approve purchase of a 31 cubic yard side load refuse truck for the DPW solid waste division. You know, Andrew, I gotta tell you, your department's spending a lot of money. What you got for us, Stacy?
So this was a 2024 budget item. It's in the solid waste utility, so the money is still there. First set of specs that went out wasn't it wasn't written correctly for the truck that we need. So we resent them out, took bids back in December. You can see we got 3 different vendors that submitted for 5 different trucks. And We are recommending to go with EnviroTech. They are giving us 60,000 for a trade. We have discussed with them the issue that we are gonna have to use the truck we're trading until we get the new one, since it's gonna be a year. We will try to limit the use, but there are times we're gonna have to use it, and they are fine with that. They said their number would stick, so.
And what was their number?
They are giving us 60,000 for a truck we currently own.
And what are we
So the
paying?
final number is 341,877. And that is under budget. We have 370,000 budgeted.
Stacy, what happened to the JWR? Did,
That one, the arm is only 9 foot, and I believe we are asking for a 12-foot reach on the arm, so it cannot, the 9-foot arm can't get between the cars, and when we're doing with the side loader truck, it can't reach all the way to behind cars and onto the curb. So. And there is a lot of on-street parking in the city, so we have to go around cars a lot. So we need that extra reach, and it was specified that way.
how many miles do we have on the one we're trading in?
I think I had that in there. Maybe I didn't. I don't know that right off the top of my head, but the one we are trading in has some frame issues. We need to get rid of it in a big way. We don't take it currently to the landfill right now because of uneven ground. So,
So their bid actually was 402,000, but they're selling it to us for 341.
correct. Yep. And they did come inspect that truck and everything. They are aware of it, so.
Yeah, it's one.
And the early 2026 delivery isn't an issue?
No, I'd like it sooner, but I'm always hopeful it's gonna come sooner. We did look at the other one that they bid that was also, lower than the other vendors. That was December.
Yeah.
We prefer the Peterbilt chassis over the Battle chassis, and that came from our mechanics who work on these trucks almost every day. There's an issue, so they get worked on a lot.
Thank you. There's support?
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I'm gonna skip to item E. Which is an update, no action required on the Dewey Avenue reconstruction project.
All right, I'll
One of
kick
my
this one off.
favorite subjects.
It's a good one. And then I'll turn it over to Ashley Nelson with Robert E. Lee and Associates, who's with us this evening. So in 2023, the city received an STP urban grant for Dewey Avenue reconstruction between East Main Street and East Division Street. This is an 80-20 cost share program where the city would pay 20% of eligible costs. Ashley, I'll turn it over to you to go over some of the scope of work. And then turn it over to commissioners for any questions that you all may have.
Yeah, so the project in general is just a reconstruct of Dewey Avenue, which includes sanitary water and storm sewer. The other additional component of this is there is some right of way. So there's 54 parcels along Dewey Avenue, and the right of way acquisition on this project is all temporary limited easements, which is just strictly for the contractor to tie in his grading. So it's just basically borrowing the land so he can tie in, and then it goes back to the property owner. There is one parcel that is a commercial property on the corner that does have a little bit of real estate acquisition. That is for a curb ramp that has to kind of expand a little bit into that property. It is very minor. So that's the scope of this project. Andy, were you going to go over the nominal payment parcel?
Yes, so this item
Okay.
is the next item on the agenda would be that nominal payment report. This one also includes widening the roadway. I believe, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at 32 feet back to back, or back of curb to back of curb. When all is said and done, right now it's about 25.5 to 26 feet, so we are widening it to accommodate travel lane and then travel lanes and one lane of parking. We also are going from, right now it's an asphalt pavement overlaid on concrete pavement. We'd be looking to do a 7-inch thick concrete pavement as part of this project. And I'm getting nods, so my memory's serving me.
Yes, the only thing I would add to that is we are widening the sidewalk to make it ADA compliant. Currently, it is only 4 feet in width, so that is also getting widened to 5 feet.
Will there be a grass boulevard after this, or is it gonna be tucked to the curb?
There will be a grass boulevard in between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter.
Is the widening being taken away from that boulevard, if you will?
So the way the widening kind of worked itself out is there is a wider portion where cars are kind of parking right now. Then from that, we kind of offset your center line so that the center line is now in the middle of the pavement. And then from there, yes, we shortened the distance of that boulevard. It is not as large. I could pull up a typical.
Yeah, but
just-
so let me ask the question this way then, Ashley. If the resident looks at the sidewalk today
Yes.
and the edge of the sidewalk closest to their house, is that the same location of that edge when you're done? Or will it move closer to their house?
It will stay within the existing right of way, and which is currently, it's existing to date 1 foot off the existing right of way. It is maintaining that 1 foot off existing right of way. So it is not getting closer to their house. We're reducing that boulevard by 3 feet on each side. It's right now currently at 11 feet. That is getting reduced down to 8 feet.
I think the other thing the residents weren't aware of was that the sidewalk was being removed and replaced. So this is helpful to share with them.
I believe Andy and I shared that at the public property owners, but we can definitely, we intend to have a real estate meeting with property owners, and we'll be able to show them these typical sections and what's going to look like exactly at their property. So
when you talked about that easement, what you will hear in that meeting is the stakes were placed to show where that easement was gonna be.
correct.
They are extremely close to some of the folks' houses.
Yes, and that is some grading that had to go back. Some of these houses are extremely close to the road. So, but we did take into account the fact that they are close to the house. A lot of it seems like, oh my gosh, the stake is right there, right? But we're not even in some cases putting an inch or taking an inch. You know what I mean? It's just they got to be able to get that grading in. And then we're also conservative to give that contractor that room to build it too. So it's not going to go right up to that line, but they have to be able to construct it. So we
Well-
will have those discussions, but it's definitely, some of those areas are tight.
Well, as I told Andrew, the residents have told me no one told them anything when the stakes went in.
They
So
all
that
should
was-
have received real estate letters informing them that this was coming, and we also informed them that we would be out there 2 weeks placing these stakes. So letters were sent. I don't know if the property owners that live there versus where the letters go, some of them are definitely rentals, so they go elsewhere.
Anybody else? It's my district, so that's what I'm asking. So, This part, yeah, the west half is yours and east half is mine. Yeah. Interesting. Am I assuming we're gonna park on the east side of the street when we're done?
Yeah, it's gonna.
So where we're parking is where we'll end up parking?
Yes, correct.
Correct.
It's unfair. I think it's perfect. It's my district. Okay, anything else? Ashley, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where am I at? You got me all messed up, Andrew. Okay, I'm on item F. Right, review and take possible action, nominal payment parcel report for the 2026. I got 2026 written down, isn't it 2025? 26. 26 Dewey Avenue reconstruction project.
Richie, you ran with this one. Do you mind presenting?
One of the beginning efforts in the real estate process is to develop a nominal parcel payment report. And that puts a value on the TLEs, on the value of the land.
Mhm.
And also the right-of-way acquisition at the corner. And we are recommending that we proceed with the report as presented. With the offering prices.
This is kind of the first step in negotiating for those TLEs and that fee on land acquisition. This isn't approving the purchase of the land. The actual purchase of the TLE and the fee would come back to committee before moving forward, but this.
The actual dollar amount.
Correct. Yeah.
Good thing to know.
So the 5% of fee value is current market value, not assessed value? Is that how the 5% was created?
Ashley, we're looking at you. How does that 5% come into play here?
I would definitely have to take a little bit more look into why they're saying 5% of fee value, but assessments were reviewed and looked at, so I would assume that that's what that means, that it's 5% of the assessed value, but they weren't. I would have to go back to the real estate folks and make sure that that is the case, but.
I'll admit that I have purchased right of way in my past projects and where there's a total and the rounded to. We're gonna round $38 up to $100. I don't wanna dispute this, but we have a total and we're rounding to the same number.
Yeah.
Which seems, $38 to sign a few documents isn't maybe worth my time. But I just don't. Maybe it's changed in the last 5 years, but I was buying right of way for 15 years at the highway department and we always rounded to something.
Yeah.
It never came in with 38.88 as an offer.
So perhaps actually maybe we can go back to the real estate consulting firm and just verify that those rounded totals should be rounded. I hear what
So
Commissioner Thompson is saying.
I think Steigerwald was leaving this for you to take the lead on, and that would be this discussion in this meeting here, but I did some comps if this will help everybody. There are 54 parcels. 4 of them are over $200. So my thought based on how everything is going down in these numbers that you see, I anticipated potentially offering $200 per 50 parcels. So everybody who's under the $200 mark would get offered $200. Okay, and that would equate to $10,000 in total. Then the 3 that are above the $200 mark would be offered $350, which would be $1,050. And then I always tend to offer a little bit more the fee parcel because we're actually purchasing that right away versus renting it. And so that one I had at $500. That would bring this total for the acquisition of real estate to $11,550. And it makes the it makes the real estate process go a little bit quicker on those blitz meetings, kind of like you said, just having that $1 amount. But that was my thoughts.
If we're not,
What's 11,000% of construction costs? I mean, is it-
That's still under
Nothing.
budget.
Yeah.
Right,
nothing.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they say, well, it's worth $38, but I'm gonna get $200.
Okay, so
Where do I sign?
now that you said nothing, what's the budget number for this?
Construction.
I believe I had estimated the real estate acquisition at around
No,
40,000.
what's the budget for building the road?
Sure. I can pull up the state news. It's about 1.4 million.
Okay.
How would you do it?
Yes.
So originally, this project anticipated acquiring fee throughout the entire project, so that's why the budget originally was upwards of 40,000. So having this as TLE definitely helps reduce the costs, so.
I told every property owner, this is for your benefit, slope it to your front yard, make it pretty, no steep drop offs.
Yep,
We just need a rental for 3 months.
Yeah.
yep,
I don't know if we have to.
We're not being asked to approve the dollars. We're just asking for a go-ahead to start the negotiation process.
The recommendation would be then to round it to Ashley's numbers.
And submit the report to begin the real estate negotiation process.
And just a question on item or parcel 31, there's no land type in that. On mine,
that is residential. Good catch.
Okay, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
make a motion that we allow negotiations as presented by, I'm sorry, her name, Ashley. Based on the values on the nominal farm payment parcel report. I'll second.
Motion with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And it is 26. Why did I
Yes.
think it was 25?
I did too for a long time, don't worry. I just got into that.
Real estate acquisition can take a long time.
All right, item G.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ashley, thank you very much. Review and take possible action, Lake Victoria vegetation control request.
All right.
Who's up?
I can kick this one off. So the city received a request for assistance with aquatic vegetation and algae treatment on Lake Victoria. I sent the letter this morning to commissioners. Local residents have been hiring a licensed commercial aquatic herbicide applicator and obtaining DNR permitting for this work for a number of years now. The Park Recreation and Forestry Commission reviewed this in late 2024 and moved to table the item. We've got reps from PRF and Christine Buttress, our park director, here as well this evening. The minutes are included in the packet from that meeting. I also forwarded this morning PRF meeting minutes from 2000 where a similar request for aquatic management was denied. So the city does not currently manage chemically vegetation or algae in any water body. There are, benefits of not managing vegetation and just with habitat, with fishing, things like that. After review, Public Works Department is recommending denying the request for assistance as it could negatively impact the sporting and recreational opportunities of Lake Victoria. Additionally, we don't have this in the city's budget. There is also concern about this creating a precedent as the city does not manage any other vegetation or water bodies within the city limits. Christine, is there anything you'd like to add?
Go ahead.
So I'll add my 2 cents. John Lampy, I represent District 2, serve on the Park and Rec thing. So I'll add the comments that made at the Park and Rec meeting and repeated when the minutes of this came back up at the council. But one of the things I do want to, that did catch my eye on this one is I'm trying to figure out why we went from essentially a neutral recommendation in Park and Rec. No negative or positive impact on this to a negative recommendation here. Like, I didn't see that jump. Like, where did that come from?
Sure. I think for Public Works, at least in my department, it was the precedent setting that we don't do this anywhere else. one can make the argument that it would have a negative impact on fishing or other recreational activities in the lake. And then it's not in this year's budget.
But the specific thing I want to be careful of here is, Park and Rec did not, as far as I know, make a negative comment in terms of the recreational opportunities in terms of this treatment. I mean, basically,
It was tabled.
we tabled it. Basically, it came in neutral. It left Park and Rec's neutral. I'm concerned that the way the memo is laid out here is that basically it implies that Park and Rec made a recommendation on the recreation value and basically said it was a negative value. So I want to be careful that was, I mean, we believe we came out of there neutral.
You tabled it.
We tabled it. We did not.
So
make-
how was tabling it neutral? You basically did nothing.
Okay, can you scroll down here a little bit?
Sure.
So that last piece, which says after review. So that one sentence about chemical control of vegetation can negatively impact the sporting or recreational opportunities of Lake Victoria. That seems like something that potentially should come through Park and Rec or might have been a recommendation. But I want to be careful of saying that that was not something that we came out of Park and Rec. We didn't necessarily say that piece. We didn't say that control of vegetation would negatively impact the sporting and recreational opportunities as Park and Rec. Did we?
I didn't read that one. I didn't. It didn't seem anything attributed to the Park and Rec when I read that. Was the decision of Public Works,
Okay,
but not anything reflecting on the Park and Rec. I didn't read that out of that.
okay. The implication I got again, because we were cited with the minutes up ahead. And then there was something that used, one of the recreation. Park and Rec.
I don't think it was. Negative towards the.
Talk to staff at a staff level.
The 2020 Park and Rec Commission did say no.
The 2000 Park and Rec.
2000,
Commission said
excuse
no.
me. Yeah.
Okay. That's half of what I wanted to talk about. The other half on this thing was, on the comments about, the request, and, this is where I'm wondering. Part of what we did at Park and Rec was sort of wonder, where this came from and how our communication back to, the property owners that had requested it was going to occur. I don't know that we've necessarily finished that out at Park and Rec. I see that we're back here in Public Works though with essentially the same request, so, bounced.
It came through and Public Works first, so
Okay.
it came to Andrew first and he consulted me and asked it go through Park and Rec Commission first before it come back.
Okay.
So that was the chain in which it's not here today.
Okay,
So if it was tabled at Park and, I gotta ask the question. If it was tabled at Park and Rec, why is it back to us?
So we were looking for a recommendation from Park and Rec before taking formal action at Public Works Commission.
Okay, so we didn't get one. So why did it come back to us?
There might have been a misunderstanding on my end.
Stephen?
Andy,
just a question.
I had talked to some of the owners around the Lake Victoria, and they wanted to know what was exactly going on. I guess some people are ill-informed around that area. And I mentioned different owners that come to the meeting tonight,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they're here or not, but that they should be present and speak their mind or let people know what's going on. And I'd like to see the city be involved in helping with the vegetation around the area. That's in my district, and I'm concerned about that.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you implying that by not treating the pond, you can't fish there then? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. Because by treating the pond, we have people that fish there, kayak there, that Watertown runs kayaks too, paddle boat there, people swim in there. I mean, I don't understand why Watertown can't treat it like a park. Because that's what it's used for. You have a walk path through there that people go back there, probably picnic. There's no tables, but there's trash bins back there. You guys have beautiful signs up back there. I don't understand why you can't treat it like a park.
I think our hope was for a public, private kind of collaboration to kind of maintain that area there because it has changed. I personally have submitted all the DNR requests for treatment. So there's nothing in there that would chemically destroy anything in there. This is all done by a reputable company and it has been billed to the 10 houses that are around Lake Victoria. But what we're finding now is that it is getting more use. There is runoff. When we were denied way back in whatever that was, 2000, I submitted pictures of the sewage flowing in that was feeding into Lake Victoria, and it was making it very difficult to treat the weeds. People that live on Lake Victoria chose to live on Lake Victoria, and it's a unique place in Watertown to live. And we took it upon ourselves as homeowners. This is not an HOA, this isn't anything, it was just to kind of keep that area of the town beautiful, because if you look on the other side, which has the sign of Hyden Park, it is untreated and it really is a swamp. And so, and that runs, over by us. And so now what's happening is now I've been billing my neighbors for about 31 years. And we've all been picking up that cost. So, as you probably know, there's very few companies that do this anymore. It's getting cost prohibitive, really, where our neighbors are now going like, we can't really afford this with taxes, with taxes increases. And it is a draw. It's a unique thing. We're finding more and more of the financial burden falling on few neighbors. And so we came to the town before to say, can there be a partnership where it is, we're not saying treat the whole thing so we don't have to pay for it. We're just saying that could be offset costs. Because what we're treating now is shoreline. You can't treat the whole pond. It's impossible as a homeowner. And so what we came to again tonight was to say, is there some consideration because we are seeing more and more audiences on that little Lake Victoria, whether it be for ice fishing, whether it be for regular fishing. Kayaking is a must. There's restriction on it. No one's bringing a motor or boat or anything on there. And we're seeing so much across the way of people that are going through the walkthrough that we thought that maybe this would be a show of good faith for the community to kind of help maintain an area that is deemed city property.
And I do want to reiterate what you just said, those retention ponds. Since we've lived there 31 years, the city has built one, on Clark Street, 12th Street, over by the airport, and this keeps flowing in. And the company that does treat it has told us way in the beginning is because you people put chemicals on your lawn and that goes into the pond, which makes these weeds grow.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, well, we're responsible for that. So we kept paying. Well, now we got all these ponds and they're pouring into the pond that we're treating because we put chemicals on our lawn. So that's what we're saying. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the bills are just getting higher.
And I think if you talk to some of the neighbors, everybody enjoys living on Lake Victoria. But as we said, is there a way, again, not to pick up the cost or shuffle it over to the city? Because realistically, if that went untreated, that would really become unsightly. Probably that pond could be treated 2 times per year based on, the environment, whether it be snow coverage, which kind of dims the weeds and keeps them down, or if, the minute they pop up. We've just taken care of it because, number one, selfishly, you live on there and you don't want to look out your window and see a swamp. And so this is my second attempt of coming over there. This year, our bill was $300 for DNR permit just to get chemicals approved that could go into the Lake Victoria that are safe.
That are safe
For the fish.
Swimming.
And then the bill itself to treat the pond was $3,300. And so again, if you pick that up, this year we divided that by 7. But as we either age out or, because it's not an HOA, because you buy a house on either, street, you can't tell people like, well, you also have to pay, $800 for, treatment of the pond. So again, at the letter that you saw, and I guess I feel a little bit like if this was gonna be discussed, I would have loved it at that Park and Rec meeting. It seems like now you come, and this is the second time I've come to a meeting, and I'm told no, and hearing that there were prior discussions about it, when I could bring my invoices and kind of show you that it was always done in good faith.
Yeah, you haven't been told no yet.
So,
You haven't been told no yet.
I know, I was really
We're having a
hoping, I heard
conversation.
everybody tonight so far was on a roll of yeses, I was
So-
hoping I was next.
Yeah, well,
So I think your question was, I mean, if we didn't take action at a Park and Rec, why is it back here in Public Works?
That's what I was gonna ask.
That's the
Stephen.
question. Can you help us there?
If it's been tabled on one commission, is it right to it for another commission to pick it up and?
It depends on the purpose of the tabling and why it was sent to that commission, where the Public Works Department requested the Parks Department consider it and take it to their commission. When that commission tables it, that could be an answer to the Public Works Department that the Parks Commission isn't going to weigh in on the topic. And so at that point, the Public Works Department could still bring it back to the Public Works Commission and request a resolution on the matter. Otherwise, it would just sit in limbo until, and there'd be no answer to the citizens. So I suspect that's why this has been brought back for you, is so that we can, so the city staff can respond to the citizens' request.
So some basic questions. Who owns Lake Victoria?
It's
I mean, most lakes that I was familiar with back in Michigan, property owners literally owned a part of the lake.
Yep.
So who owns this lake?
it's considered a waters of the state, so that's where the DNR would come in and be the permitting authority for the chemical application.
Okay, that doesn't answer the question.
The state,
So the state owns Lake Victoria.
I believe so.
Property owners on the shoreline. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see your,
There is a parcel associated with it that shows the city of Watertown as owner.
Can you pull it up on your screen,
Perhaps.
Andrew,
Sure.
from the city now?
and how do you describe Hayden Park? Hayden Pond, excuse me.
Hayden Pond is owned by.
Where did that come from?
It's connected to Lake Victoria.
There are multiple.
But did we connect it to Lake Victoria, or is that part of the state waterway again, or what is that?
Historically, it was a brickyard, and when it was excavated and filled with groundwater, I don't know the history and how they were
So
interconnected,
it
but
effectively became
It's Brickyard, yeah.
a retention zone,
Yeah.
for lack of a better title.
How did it become a lake?
That was probably marketing when the original subdivision was created by Browns from
Mhm, yeah.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was for marketing. I don't think it was ever considered a lake when it
So
was
it's
a
not something
brickyard.
like the state has to, I mean, it was originally Watertown land, right? The city of Watertown must have owned it at one time.
I-
If it was,
That's debatable.
they used to
It
make
could have been a
Watertown
private
brick
company
out of it.
doing brickwork.
The Brickyard.
Yeah, I mean, it may not have been the city per se.
Oh, so then they sell it to the state? Is that how it works?
Water bodies
What I'm
are
asking, I don't know.
superseded by waters of the state. I mean, constant water in any body becomes waters of the state. A creek, a lake, a pond.
So then would Hayden Pond be part of the state too?
Yes, waters of the state is my opinion. We'd have to research that, but
I believe with an inlet and an outlet.
Okay, well, that's,
It's landlocked.
that's gonna be my next question, though. Wait, that's not what I just heard. I heard that it's getting water from somewhere. So is it part of the storm system?
there are a couple of inlets and outlets that drain into it. I think largely it did fill up with groundwater, and that's probably what feeds it. When it does rain, there are a couple of inlets from Franklin Street that drain in from the north. But largely, I think it's groundwater that goes in.
Was inlets placed by the developer then?
The developer, the city, when Franklin Street was reconstructed. We'd have to research it if you want more.
And does the airport also? They did that what, last summer?
Boomer Street?
Yes.
Boomer Street appears to drain to Hayden Pond.
The
You
Hayden
can see the
Pond?
ditch here and it discharges here. This is kind of, I mean, they're not stormwater ponds, but they certainly act like stormwater ponds where Hayden Pond treats a lot of the runoff from the Boomer Street swale. You can see the quality of the water here.
The city pay at one time to treat the Hayden Pond when they were doing that restoration of the shorelines and such?
Not,
In the 2000 notes that you passed on, thank you for passing them on, by the way, from the Park and Rec Department, but
Sure.
it did suggest in there that Hayden Pond was being treated.
okay.
But I didn't, that's my question, did that stop at some time, or was it just a one-time only thing, or?
I'm
I
not
believe
sure.
they had some collaboration with Rock River Rescue where they were trying to build up that area as the Hayden Pond and they put the signs up and it was, you know, a draw for the public walkway now to go. And as you can see, the very difference from, you know, the Lakeside Terrace, with that being treated. So, once again, the homeowners are trying to kind of keep it where the weed control would be down. And we've had numerous times, you know, the company come out to take a look and give recommendation. I guess my frustration this evening is, was everybody at that Park and Rec meeting really aware of, you know, all the efforts that are going in to maintain something that's being used by the city? And it's really being picked up the cost by public citizens. And so that's why, you know, nobody was coming here tonight. You know, as Barb walked around and talked to the neighbors and as did you, it's not that anybody wants to withdraw pain. But what they're looking for is the support. Like if you're gonna invite people to use the other side of my house, when I look over, I love seeing kids coming in there and ice fishing and there's several people with shanties that are up there and there's nothing that's dangerous in the water because, you know, the DNR would never allow that. I mean, it's all guided. So our hope was that once again, a public-private collaboration or something from the city to help offset the cost to treat more of the pond than what we are actually treating on our own, because that would be virtually impossible to pick up that cost.
So the one other thing that I got into when we were at Park and Rec, and then I shared again at the full council when the minutes came through. So it's probably gonna sound familiar to you guys. Is one of the preferences that I wanted to have from Park and Rec is that defined legal entity. So you mentioned you're not in an HOA. Part of what I was hoping that you guys were leading toward was actually formal creation of a legal entity. At council, I think I had asked our attorney to kind of check in and see, I mean, is that an HOA? Is there special things because it's around a body of water? But basically, you know, it would be very helpful, I think, for us to be able to be talking to a single legal entity where we've got a consensus of the property owners, where we potentially have, as you say, not just a handshake to pay into the thing, but basically we've got a consensus from the property owners that yes, there's a contribution here. To me, that was almost step one in being able to develop some sort of a partnership, is having that formal legal entity of the property owners around the body of water. And then we have essentially, not that you're not anybody to talk to, but a legal entity to talk to, as opposed to, you know, a random property owner there who says, I object to the thing. I mean, at least there's a consensus on one side. There's the two legal bodies essentially negotiating an agreement for the future. So,
but as of right now, we have, since I've been living there, you know, there's changing, you know, the homeowners are changing. And right now I could tell you that, you know, we have had the long-standing citizens, you know, I could go along from the Dobrats to the Heps to, you know, all the way around, who have been saying like, definitely will kick in. But most recently, we have a university professor that just recently purchased land and he's adamant that he will not pay because he believes that he's catching the wind and a lot of the weeds wind up in his property and it's not worth his investment.
Right.
And so it's never gonna be where you're gonna get consensus of people to say that, yep, we'll chip in and, you know, like a homeowners association. I don't believe that at all, because, you know.
And in part, that's why at Park and Rec again, I was very hesitant to take any action, negative or positive, because of that lack of consensus. And so if,
Mhm.
if it's impossible to sign everybody up that they're at least going to chip in, I don't know what the city is going to do to drive
Well,
you consensus either.
I don't, but if you're asking for consensus, I think there's a willingness of, like you said, I believe me, the 10 neighbors, I already know who's gonna say no, who's not, but I think the offset of the cost would minimize the number of times we have to treat that, if more of that lake is treated and cared for than just our shoreline pieces. Because you're watching weeds out in the middle, and, you know, I'm begging the guy to come back and extend the spray, you know, but I guess this is our second time, and I think the city benefits because the tax rates on the homes that are there are high. It's probably a selling point because it's a little bit of a unique feature. But once again, you know, I think there was some talk back and forth about a homeowners association, but we bought our lot directly from Browns. At that time, sat on it for a year before we built on that property. And when we walked into buying the house, it was just, as you said, the handshake of, you know, we've all been treating the pond, and we all kick in. But I would never speak for my neighbors, you know, that everybody's gonna buy into that.
So, how does the city? I love this question. How does the city advertise this? If, yeah, I mean, if kayaks are ending up in the water and they're city kayaks,
We don't.
We
This is
do have a
not
park
ours
sign.
to-
Yes, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
you
sign
do.
for the trail,
Hayden Pond.
for the trail. And Hyde
Hyde
Pond, there's nothing for Lake Victoria. We do not do anything with Lake
Then
Victoria.
people should not be able to. then
so
because-
we're advertising the walkway.
Yep.
That separates the two bodies of water.
And do I assume the city owns that wedge of right of way where the insulated landmass isthmus is?
Yeah, so the city owns half of Third Street. It was vacated, so we own to the center line roughly of the former right of way. And that provides access to the path, and then the city owns the isthmus between the two lakes.
Is there a boat landing there?
No.
Okay, no, may not, either way.
So what do I do? Just drag my kayak down the trail?
Yeah.
What's the depth of the two lakes?
Victoria's 7.
Is that right? About 7 feet?
I
I
thought.
thought at a
thought it
deep
was
spot, it was
deeper than-
18, wasn't it? Way in the corner there, down there, but that's just like one spot. That's like the deepest part.
And what about the pond?
The pond is relatively shallow. You can see the bottom, it varies. I know a couple of years back, as part of the study on Hayden Pond, we had it dipped with a rod. I can get those numbers for you, but I don't have them off.
And
I
that's
was just
usually,
I'm being curious.
if we did, we hired somebody to, we've done depth studies ourselves before we had contact. Yeah, I don't have that gathered, but I mean, it wasn't me that did that.
Andrew, what's that little greenish area?
This area here?
Yeah.
That's part of Hayden Pond. It's where the roadway ditch or swale discharges. So what you're,
That's the feeder.
yeah, you might see some turbidity or maybe some pollutants that are settling out before we get to the rest of the pond.
Gentlemen?
So currently your treatment program over these years is within 50 feet of your shores? And you said you couldn't afford to treat the whole lake?
No, because when they come in, you know, they're going close to the homes that are on there because it's being paid for. And, I mean.
And you're treating from the land side or are they in the water side to treat the weeds? When they treat it?
So when they come in, they bring in a boat and then they just spray from the middle of the pond out towards the shoreline. From
But
the
only on
shoreline
your,
of the homes
but
around. all
only
the way
towards
around
those 10 houses.
Franklin Street, yes, because that's who's paying for it.
Yeah.
And some of the Franklin Street lots are double lots, if you will. And so, again, it's just been for the aesthetic value. But now we are seeing, so I guess my question is, when people go to rent kayaks and such,
There's no
They-
rental.
There's no rental there. That's what I just asked. So they're bringing their own in if they're using kayaks.
okay,
Okay,
So
so there
it-
must be a club of some kind
Yeah.
then in Watertown.
because they're walking in on the city side, because there's no
Yeah.
way you could go through somebody's yard to put,
Yeah.
your kayak in.
I might be
Yeah.
surprised.
No.
And I do wanna add, that frontage around everybody's property there, anybody has every right to walk on our property, not on our property, but on the stone around the pond. Because we don't own that. We maintain it. It's like a sidewalk. We maintain it, but we don't own it.
Is there any current treatment on the isthmus? And if there's not, would there be any benefit to doing so?
No, there's no benefit to Parks and Rec to treat anything on either side of it.
Well, Hayden Pond then is deemed what, just Hayden Pond, but you can't do anything with Hayden Pond. I mean, it's,
We naturally don't do
Yeah.
anything with
Mhm.
Icon for reasons. Yeah.
and that was, so the one time that it was funded to be treated was probably
It's
in
probably maintenance.
a agreement with Rock River Rescue, because they did all the landscaping
I'm
I mean, I-
guessing it was a maintenance type of thing where they wanted to probably clean up the shore.
and treat the water. That somebody was
It would be,
spraying.
it would be shoreline and shore.
I think we got 3 choices, so which one do you prefer? Are you gonna guess what my 3 choices are? Yeah.
We should determine if those are the 3 choices or if there's
Well,
more.
I would suggest choice 1 is no. Not necessarily choice 1, sorry. Choice 2 is table and send it back to Park and Rec. Let them clean up the mess. 3 is to recommend to the city council that we participate in some program to help put chemicals in these 2 bodies of water. You got a better one?
No, but I do have a comment, so. There seemed to be a lot of uncertainty within Public Works Department and how to manage this if in fact you do decide to pursue it. The city's
Yeah.
taking responsibility.
I would
for
take it a step further. I'm not certain it's public works. I'm not,
Or,
is it streets because it's a storm sewer runoff?
That's
Or
true.
is it Park
Park
and
and
Rec
Recreation.
because we've got a walkway? Is it? I don't know. The city council is a lot smarter than we are. They can decide.
right? No, but I'm just saying because of the uncertainty, my recommendation would be either to send it back to Park and Recreation or just table it because there are a number of questions internally within the city that we have to make some decisions on how to manage this if in fact we do pursue this option of taking responsibility to treat these bodies of water.
Doesn't matter who owns it.
It
We
does, I
established
think it
that.
matters who owns it.
We established that.
I mean, is it a private lake? What is, the
Well, that's
waters
what I
of the
was trying
state?
to-
I
Is
mean,
it,
those are good
is the
questions,
property
too.
lines extend into the water or do they stop like the zigzag around the edge?
Well, the residents' opinion is it stops. Their property line stops. That's what they just said, right? And I'm being told it's a state waterway.
Right.
So I don't know who that means owns it.
Right.
Mr. Cheesebro, you got a guess?
Riparian law is not my area of expertise.
Good word.
Navigable
You used a
waters under
big
the
word, too.
Wisconsin Constitution are all owned by the state. But there would be riparian right of ways for property owners adjoining the property off of. It depends on how their property line interacts with the body of water, so without doing a records check to see what registered deed has in regards to the parcel. It's not very clear to me as to why the city of Watertown is showing up as owner on GIS. Unless it was previously a land parcel that has subsequently become a lake. So my expectation is the state of Wisconsin owns the parcel for the lake itself.
Could be a DNR.
And the property owners have some rights to it. But beyond that, I would have to do additional research to find out more about ownership.
Who does vegetation control for larger bodies of water? Rock Lake, Lake Lavelle.
There's often a lake district that's established that performs vegetation maintenance on behalf of all owners on the lake.
Which all have to go through DNR, and DNR determines if it's feasible or not.
And then those lake owners to pay into.
Correct. And if I can offer just a point of clarification on how we got here.
Mhm.
When the request came in from Aldermore Moldenhauer and some of the residents around the lake for maintenance. Christine and I talked and we brought in a stormwater project manager and we're like, well, who's responsible ultimately for vegetation management? And we thought it was kind of a mix between Park and Rec and stormwater utility or public works due to the funding mechanism that would come out of this. So that's why it's here this evening. We were looking for a recommendation from Public Works Park, Rec and Forestry before coming to Public Works. So that's a little bit of the backstory here.
I do also want to mention that when we looked at all the stormwater outlets into Hayden Pond, they all but one or two, if my memory serves correct, go into Hayden. Nothing drains into Lake Victoria.
But is there spillover from the pond into the
There
lake?
is a culvert over the isthmus, or under the isthmus. That's what, 18 inches?
Yeah, it's
So-
equalizer pipe.
You're saying there's nothing that comes into the lake?
There's potentially two, but we
Oh,
only saw
potentially two.
one out of all of the areas, all of the houses and all of the roadway. Everything else drains into Hayden Pond.
Okay, but there is one,
Okay, she's saying potentially.
yeah, potentially two, which is the big one that you see coming in, which, in 2000, I had pictures of. The discharge coming from the streets into the pond. And I presented those to the council. I think, there were minutes on that as well, because, and now you could imagine in the 24 years, the development around that area. It's certainly different.
And just for fun, would you click on the lake to see if some right of way parcel comes up at all?
It does have a parcel ID number. Outlot 5.
Lakeside Meadows, is that the
Yeah.
legal description?
It also has, look at that acreage.
Yeah. Right.
So,
It could be an error.
I would like to table it for further information. I don't have enough information, so yes or no.
I'm okay to do a tabling if you tell me what information you want.
I think someone needs to connect with. the
Might I make a
DNR.
comment? I think we should establish this once and for all. Who owns what? So put this thing to bed, because it's gonna keep coming back. In a few years, it'll come back again. Just establish who owns what and where the responsibilities lie, and let's take care of it right now and just get it done.
According to
That's a question.
So hang on. We're out of control. A man was making a motion.
I would make a motion to table it for ownership, responsibilities, and if necessary, creating a policy on weed management, any bodies of water that were vegetation control that were responsible.
And establishing a policy for vegetation control on
Water bodies, if it's our responsibility.
Is there a second to that?
Question, do we want to define that for a period of time, or do we just want to leave it? No definition
How many times have we had this conversation about tabling motions? Do we set a date or do we?
I missed the last
It
one.
was just in the municipality, they had a whole page on it.
When is the typical treatment time? Early spring to keep the weeds down, so May 1? Deadline maybe?
Well, when do you have to file for the permit?
That's open, so I usually get a call from the company saying that like, it's time to treat the pond. We like to get it done. Yes, I know that they are, so I look at that.
I mean, I think we have months, 3 months.
Do you want a date or you just want to take?
Just want to take.
Okay.
This is the last.
So what I wrote
contract
down
that
was
went out on April 5th. And that's includes the $300 fee, that starts off at
That's three. So we got time. So to table this item. To establish ownership responsibilities and establishing a policy of vegetation control for bodies of water under the city's auspices.
Who's gonna do that? That Andrew's responsibility.
Well, he's public works, so we're a public works committee.
Yeah, that's the.
Congratulations.
Then I'll second.
Okay, now I'm sorry, Mr. Wetzel, I interrupted you.
Our opportunity runs through a website. Says the city owns 327 acres and 30 parks, 1 lake access. Just a lake access only.
Do we have other lakes in the city?
We have a river access at Manny Peak.
It's true, better put it on the website,
Yeah, it says lake access.
but 1 lake access.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Oh,
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Hopefully we'll get you an answer. All right, I need to go back to item D. I think,
Yes.
yeah. Review and discuss the street and utility 5-year capital improvement program.
All right, so we put together some slides for you this evening. I hope you can all see the screen clearly. Richie Peltz and I will be presenting on our 5-year capital improvement program. What all goes into the program from a planning perspective, funding sources, types of project under the CIP, and then a look ahead to the next 5 or 6 years on projects coming down the pike. So let me do my best to share my screen here, so those online can see. Zach, can you see my screen?
Zach, are you there?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you.
Great, you're welcome. All right, so like I mentioned, this is an overview of the 5-year capital improvement program that we operate through the City of Watertown Public Works Department. So an introduction to the program, the Public Works Department refines the CIP annually to address infrastructure needs. Our focus areas include utility upgrades, roadway improvements, drainage improvements, and safety enhancements. There are several key project categories under the CIP. We've identified 12. The first of which is utility and roadway reconstruction, which is a full replacement of aging utility infrastructure and roadway infrastructure and replacement to ensure long-term reliability. Utility maintenance, which extends utility service life through spot repairs and cured-in-place pipelining treatment. The photo shows the before pipe, and then on the right, it shows after CIPP treatment. It's a liner that goes within an existing pipe to, prevent I&I, and then extends the life through maintenance treatment. Resurfacing project, which focuses on the pavement. It includes milling and overlaying or pavement removal and replacement. roadway maintenance, which includes routine activities like patching, crack sealing, seal coating, and pavement marking with a focus on preserving existing pavement.
Bike and pedestrian improvements include adding bike lanes, paths, and sidewalks for safety and connectivity. Sidewalk repair to ensure safety and ADA compliance and pedestrian accessibility. Bridge and dam maintenance, safeguarding structural integrity and functionality. Routine maintenance. Inspection driven activities, high hazard dam versus a low hazard dam. And biennial bridge inspections.
Our high hazard dams are required to be inspected, or dam singular, once every 10 years. That's our upper dam. And our lower dam, sorry, I reversed these when we were going through it. Our upper dam is our low hazard dam. That's required to be inspected once every 10 years. Our lower dam is our high hazard dam, and that's required to be inspected every 2 years. And then our bridges are required to be inspected every 2 years. Jefferson County runs with the inspections on the city's behalf, and inspection reports are generated from those inspections.
We also include drainage projects which address flooding, stormwater runoff, and drainage improvements along streets. Seawall and shoreline management, preventing shoreline erosion along the river and streams within the city, protecting ecological habitats. And WSDOT project coordination, collaborating with the state on major roadway and infrastructure improvements in and around the city. Searching grant funding initiatives, leveraging grants for priority projects. And engineering design, we take comprehensive project planning and design for efficient project implementation. That includes in-house planning and design through the engineering division and engineering consultant planning and design oversight.
All right, so divisions under our Public Works Department contribute to the CIP. Our Street and Solid Waste Division support resurfacing, roadway maintenance, bridge maintenance, and stormwater improvements as needed. Some of the resurfacing work that our Street Division performs is peeling pavements and grading the roadway base. Roadway maintenance might be things like patching, things of that nature. Our Water Division runs with water main replacements and lead service lateral program coordination. Our Wastewater Division oversees sanitary sewer upgrades and maintenance. Our Stormwater Utility manages flood mitigation, pollution prevention, and maintenance. And our Engineering Division oversees design, coordination, and CIP implementation. So the CIP affects many city budgets. They're all listed here. It affects our operational fund 01, our capital fund 5, the water utility fund 2, wastewater utility fund 3, and stormwater utility fund 16. Generally, the CIP is between $2 and $3 million between all programs involved, but this varies year to year. So steps in developing the 5-year CIP. It's a collaborative and data-driven process. We evaluate current infrastructure conditions. We assess road condition, utilities, and public drainage systems. We prioritize projects based on need and funding, focusing on things like safety, pollution prevention, community impact, and available funding. We incorporate divisional goals and stakeholder input. We review projects as a team and incorporate feedback from community stakeholders. And then plan for funding and resource allocation. We identify grant opportunities and coordinate budgets. Those grant projects I wanted to note are more difficult to move around in the schedule than some of the internal projects that are purely city driven. And that's just based on the state's funding cycles. The year that they say the funding's available, you generally stick with. And that's what we try to stick with here as well. Getting into evaluating infrastructure conditions. This is pavement and surface evaluation rating, or PACER, which It's a program that was developed through the UW Madison system a number of years ago. It's used not only in Watertown, but around the country. The PACER system evaluates pavements based on a 1 to 10 rating, where 10 is new construction and 1 is a failed pavement that needs to be replaced. So we use it here to identify resurfacing and reconstruction priorities. It's required by state statute to be performed every 2 years. So we do this work in-house. We'll either do it as staff or we'll train our interns every other year to go out and perform these ratings. I think this past summer, our interns gathered this data. And we use our GIS, or Geographic Information System, to collect data. So the map on the right shows the GIS, or the pavement ratings in our GIS that were collected. We use a tablet, we drive around in a car, and we get out, analyze the streets, and enter data in real time. Red on the map indicates a lower pavement rating, and then a green indicates a higher pavement rating. So it's really easy to see where the need is from a pavement perspective.
This was an old map, isn't it?
It is, good catch. It's about 2 years old. The South Third Street area is still red, which we did a couple of years back. Yep.
All right.
We look at our citywide flood study when we put together a 5-year capital improvement plan. This study was put together by Rippert and Milky a couple of years ago. I believe Steve Worcester with R&M came before Public Works a couple of months back and gave an overview of the study.
So did.
We use it to identify flood-prone areas and develop drainage improvement plans. We also review the existing storm sewer system. We look at things like televising reports. We do infield inspections and then a desktop review to see if any maintenance is needed, or if we need to upsize the system before doing either a resurface, or if it should be wrapped into a larger reconstruction project. When it comes to the water distribution system, our water division and our team review lead service lateral locations. We analyze water main break locations. So the photo on the right shows a number of main breaks along Oconomowoc Avenue. I'm happy to say we replaced this water main last year, so this is an old photo as well. But each red dot shows a water main break, so it's really quick and easy to see where water main might be an issue, where it might need to be removed and replaced, which was the case here on Oconomowoc Avenue. We also review the age of the pipe, and it's worth noting that not all pipe materials are created equally. The ductile iron, and Pete, jump in at any time, you're far more versed in this than I am. The ductile iron from earlier in the 20th century performs a lot better than some of the pipe produced in the World War II era, where a lot of that iron went towards the war effort. So right around World War II and a couple of decades beyond, the quality of the pipe isn't what it was in the past or what it is that we put in today.
That's correct.
Sanitary sewer collection system, we review a collection system, the collection system condition, and assess if maintenance is warranted via a spot repair or CIPP lining, or a full replacement is needed.
Prioritizing and refining the CIP. The criteria for projects is the infrastructure condition, the safety and impact on the community. Part of our rankings, we use the PACER rating, and then we look at water main breaks, the age of the water main, the size of the water main. And then we go in, are there flooding issues? And then the type of the roadway, is it a local street or arterial or collector? And then is it a truck route? And then finally, is it an EMS route? And then we also coordinate across all division, aligning the goals with streets and solid waste, water, wastewater, stormwater, and engineering and funding. We developed the budget and stretching the project dollars further with grant opportunities. And we develop a preliminary project list, and from there, the project list is refined. The long-term vision for the CIP is to align projects with strategic community development goals ensure infrastructure resiliency through proactive planning, maximize funding opportunities with local, state, and federal grants, and maintain flexibility to adjust for emerging priorities. And some of the major projects in the 5-year plan currently for reconstruction for this year, it's the Western Avenue and South First Street STP local program project. It's from South Third Street to East Milwaukee Street. That is administered through the DOT. Resurfacing project for this year, Meadowbrook Drive, it's LRIP project. It's from North Fourth Street to Beacon Drive. North Fourth Street, Carl Schurz Drive to State Highway 16 will be a mill and overlay. And Oakwood Lane from Bittersweet Lane to Milford Street. The street division will be peeling off the asphalt and testing the base underneath to see if there's any soft spots. And then maintenance for this year, crack filling and seal coating, Milford Street from the railroad tracks south to the city limits. And there's 3 other smaller streets that also be seal coated this year. For 2026, for reconstruction will be the Dewey Avenue STP Urban Program Street from East Main Street to East Division. Again, that will be administered by the DOT. South 12th Street from Falcon Court to Wilman Court. And Wilman Court from South 12th Street to the end. And Market Street, South 7th Street to South 8th Street. And then South 8th Street from Market to East Main Street. And also for 2026 will be the utility extensions in the recently annexed area. Resurfacing on the list was Bernard Street from South Church Street to West Street. And Colonial Drive from Welsh Road to North Voltech Drive. That would be our next LRIP grant submittal street. And then with our annual maintenance for crack filling and seal coating is $150,000.
So hang on a second before you hit that button. I gotta remember which one I wanted to ask you about. The utility extension. Town of Emmett.
Correct.
I assume you're talking about.
Yep.
And the residents are aware? Are you at that stage yet?
We're not. So this is based on direction we got last year. We haven't gone out for design yet, but I think the direction we got was to do design in 25 and then plan for 26 for the extension, but we haven't gotten to that part with notifying the residents yet of any assessment or anything of that nature.
And what's the budget number for the work that you defined in 25?
In 25?
Are you gonna get there eventually, or am I getting ahead of you?
We don't call out the budget, but this is probably a good time to hand out. This is our full CIP. These are really the high notes. But
For 2025, to Fund 5 borrowing is just over $2.7 million.
Are you sharing?
No.
Put it on. We were saying 2.5 million a year is the goal. Anyway.
Correct.
So it's probably even about.
2028, you'll see in the future slide is more just because Main Street through downtown.
And you said 2.7 for 25?
Yes.
What do you think 26 might be?
Oh, yeah.
2.8 million.
Very nice. They can flip it all the way over. I guess if we're borrowing.
That doesn't include them. Do we have?
Yes, it would be, include our portion of Dewey Avenue, what we have to pay,
20%.
yes.
Plus the utility.
And then,
Plus utility.
yes. Utilities is not in this would just be Fund 5.
I stopped you, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
And in 2027, reconstruction, we have a large reconstruction of Lafayette Street, be broken up into phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is South Water Street to South Warren Street. And then Hart Street, South 3rd Street to Randolph Street. And South 7th Street, Station Street to Western Avenue. And South 8th Street from Station to Western Avenue. Hart Street, South 7th Street and South 8th Street are contingent upon a stormwater mitigation study being developed right now. Resurfacing.
On the South 8th Street there, did you consider going from like the tracks to Western Avenue?
South 8th Street, south of Station has been vacated, I believe, for half of it.
Which north to western is what?
Oh, Hart Street to the railroad tracks, the dead at the south side of the railroad track, that is included.
The north side of the railroad tracks, is that included?
Yes. And then two streets for resurfacing would be Long Street from Louisa Street to Holsty Street. And then Holsty Street from Long Street to its dead end. And again, crack filling and seal coating is 150,000 budget request. And then in 2028, reconstruction would be Main Street from Church Street to Market Street. That is a DOT project. We are paying up a portion of that. And then Laborie Street is an SCP Urban Program Street where we received a grant for 20%. That is Boughton Street to Ann Street, and that will also be DOT administered. Then we did receive a TAP grant for a bike and ped, a shared use path along South Church Street from Jefferson Road to Air Park Drive. And then maintenance again, our annual 150,000 for crack filling and seal coating.
Looked at it, Market Street.
Yeah. And then in 2029, reconstruction will be the phase 2 of Lafayette Street. Be South Warren Street to Lafayette Street's dead end. And then South Warren Street from Lafayette Street to West Main Street. And for resurfacing will be Terry Lane, Clark Street to Herbert Drive. Herbert Drive, Teresa Street to Terry Lane. And then Teresa Street from Clark Street to Herbert Drive. And then Clement Street, Scott Street to Dayton Street. We would apply for an LRIP cost share on that street. And again, maintenance for 150,000 annually. And in 2030, reconstruction will be an extension of the DOT project on East Main Street from Market Street to Irene Street. And then South 10th Street from Carr Street to Hart Street would be a city project. And then maintenance, 150,000 for seal coating, crack filling. Hopefully there would also be some resurfacing projects to add in 2030.
You guys could do me a favor, I don't know if it helped the other guys. Could you put in parentheses after each one of these, what the Pacer rating is of those streets?
Oh, sure.
Just a red number, something.
If they're reconstruction, they're either 2s or 3s.
Yeah, as I say, it would be nice.
Yeah,
To
just for
see
the reference
that,
to see what.
yeah. Yeah, So when some citizen calls up, says you're not doing my street, but you're doing these others,
Yeah,
that's because yours is a 6 and this is a 2. Right.
yeah, and a lot goes into it. If it's an arterial street,
Right.
more people will travel on it. If it needs water main or drainage improvements. But really, when you get requests, when Public Works gets those requests, the only way that, a couple of the only ways that, they can be added to the 5-year plan is if a street gets pushed back that's already on it. Or if we get more funding in the next or the funding year that it's requested.
Yeah, I got it. I just kept thinking, as you were going through, I wonder how bad those streets really are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, see.
Good timing.
So in 2025, you had some crack filling on Milford Street, is that? I just trying to remember what it was.
Yes, we didn't get it all crack filled, this last year. We have to crack fill from Commercial Drive south to the city limits.
So it's not the totality of railroad track.
No, it'd be seal coated up to the railroad tracks.
When the roundabout is put in on 16 in Main Street, do we have any responsibility for that?
We do, we've got some utility relocations that are tied to that project. Really, it's just relocating our stuff that's in the way of the roundabout.
And isn't that this year?
It is.
Yes.
That's probably just relocation, not a capital improvement. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
considering?
it's,
Okay,
it's work, but it's not.
so it's not part of this report per se.
Right, yeah.
And where do those funds come from?
Water and wastewater utilities.
AKP.
Then also right now, scheduled for 2028 will be pavement replacement and concrete repair on Highway 16 from County L to the new roundabout. We're hoping to get that advanced to either 26 or 27.
And what if we wanted a roundabout on somewhere else on one of those state highways? How do we do that petition? Or do we do petition to do that? Cause I'd have to, who in the world asked for the round, not that it's a bad idea, but who asked for the roundabout that's going in this year?
I'm guessing it was triggered by an accident or something of that nature, and then a number of years ago, it was programmed from maybe a safety program at the state level. I'm not aware of any city involvement in the petitioning of it, but
And they're usually 7-8 years out, aren't they?
it's a waste.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, where else would you put one? I personally, I put one at 4th and 16. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've sat at that traffic light with no traffic, right? I mean, now there's 5 exits to the roundabout, that would be the challenge. But I've seen other roundabouts that have had that many.
Yeah.
So, but I'm being curious.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
There's always what.
No, there is. It's amazing, you know, man-made stuff that fails. All right, item H. We need to convene into closed session per, I can't tell you what that is, 19.85 subparagraph 1, subparagraph G, to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. An update on the Riverside Park restrooms. Gentlemen, okay, I have a motion. And because it's a motion to go into closed session, I will take a roll call vote. Mr. Wetzel?
Aye.
Mr. Bartz?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
And Mr. Board says aye. And we have,
Are y'all just discussing? Or are you making any decisions after?
Zach, we will do this discussion and then we will motion to come back into session. And then we will motion to adjourn. So we are done with decision-making for tonight.
All right, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.